Thank you for joining us back on this virtual orientation ceremony. We'll now begin with our session on address by members of the PUSA Institute of Hotel Management Alumni Association. Let me take the opportunity to welcome our first mentor, Mr. KB Kachru. An alumnus from the PUSA batch of 1971, Mr. Kachru is the Chairman Emeritus and Principal Advisor, South Asia Radisson Hotel Group, and has been instrumental in building the business in India since 1998. He continues to be on the board of Group's South Asia business. He was previously Chairman, South Asia, of the Group since 2013, responsible for the overall strategy, hotel development, management, and functional support of key markets within South Asia, including overseeing Radisson Hotel Group's joint venture companies in India. This included management of a brand with over 1,400 hotels in its portfolio. Other than leading one of the largest hotel brands in the world, Mr. Kachru is an active member of various tourism and hospitality advisory committees at the state and national levels. He was the chairman and is presently the mentor of the Confederation of Indian Industry, the CII Tourism and Hospitality Sector for the states of Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal, and Uttarakhand. He's been on the board of directors for the Tourism Corporation of various on the board of governors of the Institute of Hotel Management, PUSA. He also served as an executive member of the Pacific Asia Travel Association, India, the American Federation of Hotels and Restaurant Association of India, and the India Convention Promotion Bureau. He continues to be on the advisory board of the Skill India Tourism and Hospitality. He also currently serves on the executive board of the Hotel Association of India as vice president. He has recently been appointed on the board of Sri Mata Vaishno Devi Trust, which is one of the most prominent and most visited Hindu religious destinations in India with over 8 million devotees annually. He has been awarded the most prestigious Atithya Ratna Tourism Jewel Award by the Hotel Investment Forum India, besides being included in Hall of Fame at PATA, ITB Patwa, and WTM London. Hotelier India too recognized him with Lifetime Achievement Award. He was also listed as one of the most powerful hoteliers in the region. Mrs. Kachru, along with Mr. P.R.S. Oberoi, Mr. Ajit Karkar, Mr. Raymond Dixon, and Captain Nair of the Leela Group, are the only 5 hoteliers of South Asia who are recipients of the HISCA Lifetime Achievement Award. We are indeed honored and privileged to be in the presence of such a distinguished gentleman. With this, the session is open for the address. Over to you, Mr. Kachru.
Thank you, Santil, for a great introduction. And I think you made me remember my old days and what I have been and what I'm doing. Thank you so much. But it's really an honor. And I just want to thank Mr. Pant, Dr. Anshu, and your entire faculty for asking me to come and welcome the new batch. I think it's a matter of really happiness when an alumni wants to meet stars of the future. I consider them as stars of the future. I wish it was in person, but we can't help it. We are virtually together. We can see each other. And it's indeed a privilege for me. Boys and girls, I have been around here for a long time, as you heard from Sanktil, and I'm proud of being from batches which passed out long time back. And what makes me really proud is I am an alumni of PUSA. This institute has produced top industry leaders. I actually can't contain myself to boast that till recently, almost all the national and international chains in this part of the world were actually headed by PUSAites, whether it was Taj, It is Taj now, Oberoi, Marriott, Radisson, Leela. All these companies were led by Pusaites. And that's what should really make you feel proud that you are joining an institute which has produced leaders of that caliber. Anyway, let me get to the point. I do realize some of you must be apprehensive of joining hospitality at a very difficult time. And I also am told a lot of parents are also partaking. And quite a few of them must be stressed because hospitality is one of the hardest hit industries at the moment. But I'm sure when you know that we are a $247 billion industry and hospitality controls 9% of GDP of India, how can anybody let it go? It's not going to happen. Let me assure you that human beings are social animals, and it's fine that this period will pass too. We need to be cautious, but stay optimistic. Friends, this industry has the potential of providing over 100 million jobs in the next 5 years. That will give you an idea of what is happening, what is going to happen. Yes, going forward, rapid innovations in technology and low-touch protocols will transform traditional hotel into different models. The operating models will change, but consider yourselves very lucky because now you will be equipped with what is the new norm and witness the emergence of a new customer. It's indeed a privilege because you have heard about the past, you have seen the past, but nobody was familiar with what is going to happen. Nobody expected COVID-19 to take place. Nobody expected how the industry will change. But you have the privilege of understanding what has happened during your time, and you will be ready with any eventuality. Our industry is all about people. I think that must be your top priority. You must understand that you have joined an industry which is made by the people, for the people. It's just not processes. If somebody tells you it's just processes, no. It's about people. And you got to move away from any inhibitions you have. When I joined PUSA, I'd never seen a luxury hotel. And I do want to say that because I'm sure there are a lot of people who were not exposed to luxury or hospitality market that what it is today. We have to explore new areas, particularly for personal development. Boys and girls having fun was always important. And that's what is going to be important. May I take the privilege of telling you, please don't be boring. Find your joy. You must find your joy. Unless you find your joy, you will not achieve what you really want to do. I'll give you an anecdote. My parents actually didn't want me to do anything beyond becoming a doctor or an engineer. I come from a small town. And everybody around expected any middle class person to send their kids either to become a doctor or engineer those days. Unfortunately, I didn't live up to the expectations of my parents or the neighborhood. And I wanted to find a career where I can do something different. Not many people at that time took tourism seriously. I was reading a book the other day written by one of my mentors, Mr. S.K. Mishra, who was ultimately Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister, and he was our Tourism Secretary for quite a while. He wrote in his book when he was Secretary of Tourism in the state of Haryana, the total budget of tourism those days was 5 lakhs per budget. Now you can imagine from where we have come. I actually joined PUSA, I must confess, by accident. I was traveling in a DTC bus. I had come to see part of my family here, and I saw a billboard and ultimately landed up and saw this swanky building, and people had just moved from barracks. This college used to be operated out of barracks. So I moved in here and I saw, hey, I mean, this is a different world. And what it is today and what it'll be 20 years hence, believe me, it has exceeded everybody's expectations, both professionally and personally. I believe this was a godsend opportunity for me. I did find my calling and what I really wanted to do. My desire to learn actually helped me a lot, and at the same time allowed me to have more fun. I am indebted to this college in many ways that they actually gave me my family also. My wife is also from PUSA. I don't think many of you would know that, but my colleagues from the faculty are aware of this. So I found my family, I found my happiness, I learned a lot. And that's why I'm urging you to find what makes you happy. And you have to enjoy what you are doing. You know, you can't be good at everything, I can tell you, but you have to find your niche and not actually stay away from what you don't like. Float around, things will change. I I remember an instance. I was not a very good chef. Cookery was something I didn't focus. I should have focused more. Maybe I could have been more helpful at home, but I was not. So I was not paying much attention to cookery subject of mine those days. And now my wife, who she was a good cook, and she brought in information that there was a cookery competition going on at Red Fort. I mean, those were the days you had to carry your own stove and your own ingredients and cook and give it to the judges, and they will select what is good and what is bad. But what that taught me was that if you make an effort, you can make it. And there were people, there were people from all around the country there, and we, both of us, actually managed to steal the first prize. So that created interest in me. And even in my college, in my cookery subject, I really topped because there was some acknowledgement, some motivation, and effort on my side. So believe me, you will get enough opportunities to climb the ladder. But I would like to, I don't want to use the word warn you, but I think you have to ensure that you, at the beginning of the school, you have to take your first step right. And don't let it go. You have to actually ensure that what you decide is worthwhile, and assume all is going to be well. Don't get disheartened if there is a difficult step ahead of you. You're ultimately going to get golden handcuffs, as I call them. When you join the industry, you move up the ladder, and more you will have these golden handcuffs. But the key is, please listen to your heart. Be a good human being. Don't worry about being cool. There's a big fad of being cool. I would say be warm. Embrace change rather than running away from it. Friends, I do practice what I learned at PUSA, whether it is skills, leadership, or anything else. I was a shy person when I joined IHM PUSA, and I was one of the many. I had never imagined that I would participate in extracurricular activities. And by participating in these activities, I learned that I can achieve much more. I participated, and I was glad. When I passed out that year, I was president of the Students Association. This gave me exposure of leadership, and that leadership is helping me, is helping hundreds of PUSAites who are leading the industry, not only nationally, but internationally. Please focus on developing your personality. It's the key. This would be a kind of a sermon from me, that you have to package yourself right. You cannot just be good at one thing. The package has to be right. Today is the beginning. Find people. You need to find people who inspire you, whether they are your parents, professionals, and friends. Your friends can inspire you. Please feed off their energy. You get their energy into you, and find your guiding light. You have to actually find your guiding light and believe in yourself, and walk away with one sentence, that you will never, ever give up. Thank you. It's been great talking to you, although it was more of a monologue from my side. But one day when things are all right, I would love to have a cup of tea and great macaroons IHM PUSA makes together, and chat about the industry and about you. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Kamalji. Thank you, faculty. I really appreciate being here. Thank you.
What an insightful address, sir. I'm sure I'm speaking for everyone else when I say that we found inspiration in your anecdotes. Right. So with that, I request Principal Sir to kindly present the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, dear students, and I would like to say at this juncture that I had the privilege of being in the team of Mr. Kachru at the India Tourism Development Corporation. When I joined the corporation as a management trainee, Mr. Kachru was heading the hotels division. And the sole reason for me joining this organization was because this was going through an explosive kind of a growth. As a management trainee, I witnessed a new hotel getting opened, every 3 months. So we went to different hotels to open them up in the pre-opening team. So that is the kind of charisma and that is the kind of energy that Mr. Kachru led to a public sector organization in the country.
Thank
Another
you.
important thing that I remember about Mr. Kachru is like when he is a person who was instrumental in bringing the Carlson Hospitality Group into our country, the Radisson brand. It is his doing that it has come to our country, and now it feels like our own in-house kind of a brand. And the logo or the tagline of the Radisson Hotels is "Yes, I can." And I think, in Ashok Hotel and the Ashok Group, we could see this gentleman living this adage, in his behavior because there was no. And another important thing is in his keywords, he has said that one has to find, the kind of people to inspire oneself and then feed on their energy. I think this is what has made Mr. Kachru the kind of person that he is. He has been the most wonderful time manager. I remember as a management trainee, we used to have these graduation from one phase of management training, you went on to the next phase. And we would go, with a lot of hesitation to invite him. And I don't know how he always had the time for everyone around him. So he could come to our parties, inspire everyone then. And then when he was setting up the Carlson Hospitality Group, I was in a mood of, changing the course of my career. And I went and to, went and tried to meet him in his office at the Kutub Hotel complex, one of the apartments where his office was. And a person of his stature, I announced myself. I had taken an appointment. I announced to his secretary that I had arrived. And she informs Mr. Kachru, and with open arms, Kachru Sahab comes and out of his office and grabs me and takes me inside his office. Those are the kind of things, which people carry with them throughout their life. And there are many more things, if I'm given an opportunity, I can go on and reminiscence about the wonderful time and wonderful learnings that I had from Mr. Kachru. It is a matter of pride as the principal of this august institution. I can say that it is a matter of pride for each one of us to realize the fact that Mr. Kachu is a alumnus of this institution. If IHM PUSA is one large family, if it could be called a kul in Hindi, clan, so Mr. Kalchu is one of the best person, and that justifies his name. His full name is Kulbhushan, and if IHM PUSA is one kul, then he is the Kulbhushan of this institution. The kind of achievement that he has made, we can take pride in that, and he still is inspiring a person who has contributed to the hospitality and tourism sector for half a century. And I'm sure another half a century, maybe another century. And at this age, I feel inspired more by you, Mr. Kacho. And I'm very happy that when so many of my students are embarking on this new journey, you have been there today to bless them and to guide them. I'm sure your golden words will echo in their ears for a long time to come. And I'm ever so grateful to you for everything that you have done for many people like me and the kind of guidance that you are giving to Pusaites, the generation of Pusaites, as the chairman of the Alumni Association, and in whichever role the opportunity comes your way. And sir, thank you very much for being there and in anticipation also for all the wonderful things that you will do for us in the days to come. Thank you very much, sir. It's a
Thank,
pleasure to have you always
thank,
and to listen to you.
Thank you, Kamal. I really no words. I've become speechless, and I can see Gautam here, and welcome him also for this. Thank you so much, Kamal, for giving me so much of affection and regard. I am indebted to PUSA, and I think every PUSAite should be indebted for what he or she is today. And it is the institute which makes people, and it's the culture which we learn at the start of our lives when we are getting out of the cocoon and from the families. And it's people like you who actually shape them, and you bring them out, and your position as guru, principal of the institute. I think we all are happy that the government took the right decision in having right people at the right places. And I think it is a privilege to your students and your new batch to have you there to direct them, to actually put them on the right path. And I'm sure this will happen. And we all, PUSAites, members of the alumni, would be happy to work with you and see whatever we can do for our brothers, kids, and the whole lot. And let's hope to work together to make it happen. Thank you so much. I am grateful.
Thank you, sir. And it's a pleasure to see Mr. Gautam Anand also in the meeting today. Before I hand over to Mr. Shankhanil to introduce him, Mr. Gautam Anand is the alumnus of St. Stephen College in Delhi and the Cornell Institute. I wish, he also had attended IHM PUSA, but that makes hardly any difference because the kind of positivity that he spreads around us is immense. And I'm sure, we will have a lot of opportunity to interact with him and get benefited from the wonderful work that he has been doing and which he has undertaken to take in the time to come. Mohammad Faiz, it is all over to you. Faiz, गौतम आनंद साहब हिंदुस्तानी जबान के मतलब बहुत अच्छे कहने वाले भी हैं, शेर कहते हैं और जो भी कहते हैं बिल्कुल बड़ा खूबसूरत और बड़ा लुत्फ आने वाला आज हमारा समय होने वाला है। तो खुशामदीद करना चाहूंगा आनंद साहब आपको, एंड ओवर टू यू मोहम्मद फैज, प्लीज टेक इट ऑन।
धन्यवाद सर, और धन्यवाद काचरू सर हमें अपने आशीर्वचनों से कृतार्थ करने के लिए। और अब मैं हमारे अगले मार्गदर्शक के रूप में स्वागत करता हूं श्री दीवान आनंद गौतम सर का। ये हमारा परम सौभाग्य और ईश्वर की असीम अनुकंपा है कि सर आप हमारे बीच आज यहाँ मौजूद हैं। आनंद गौतम सर, आपने दिल्ली मॉडर्न स्कूल से अपनी प्रारंभिक शिक्षा ग्रहण की, प्रतिष्ठित सेंट स्टीफन कॉलेज से इतिहास में स्नातक किया और आप वॉशिंगटन स्टेट यूनिवर्सिटी और कॉर्नेल यूनिवर्सिटी के पूर्व छात्र भी हैं। आपने आईटीसी ग्रुप सन 1980 में बतौर मैनेजमेंट ट्रेनी के रूप में ज्वाइन किया और आईटीसी ककातिया हैदराबाद, आईटीसी मौर्या दिल्ली जैसे होटल का नेतृत्व किया। साथ ही आईटीसी गार्डेनिया बेंगलोर, आईटीसी ग्रैंड चोला चेन्नई, वेलकम होटल जोधपुर और आईटीसी ग्रैंड भारत होटल गुरुग्राम की स्थापना का श्रेय भी आप ही को जाता है सर। आपने द ओटिमो, द रॉयल वेगा, द इंडियन रूम, दिल्ली पवेलियन, फेबल चॉकलेट बुटीक्स जैसी अनेक एफएनबी आउटलेट्स की नींव भी रखी और जुलाई 2017 तक आईटीसी होटल्स के एग्जीक्यूटिव वाइस प्रेसिडेंट का पदभार भी संभाला। इतिहास के विषय में गहन रुचि रखने वाले दीवान सर माता भूमि पुत्रो हम पृथ्वीया अर्थात धरती हमारी माँ है और हम इसके पुत्र हैं के सिद्धांत को मानते हैं और इसका प्रचार करते हैं। आप द क्विजीन इंडिया फाउंडेशन के फाउंडिंग ट्रस्टी हैं, इस संस्थान का उद्देश्य विश्व के सर्वोत्तम व्यंजनों को भारत तक लाना और भारत के सर्वोत्तम व्यंजनों को विश्व तक पहुंचाना है। साथ ही आप लिखने का भी शौक रखते हैं। हाल ही में आपने शीर्ष 20 फूड राइटर के लिस्ट में अपनी जगह बनाई। एशिया फूड कांग्रेस एंड अवार्ड्स द्वारा मोस्ट इन्फ्लुएंशियल फूड इंडस्ट्री प्रोफेशनल और हॉस्पिटैलिटी सुपरस्टार के लिए नामित किए गए श्री दीवान आनंद सर, हम आपका हार्दिक स्वागत, वंदन एवं अभिनंदन करते हुए आपसे हमारे परिवार के नए सदस्यों का मार्गदर्शन करने का निवेदन करते हैं। सर प्लीज।
प्रिंसिपल पंत साहब, मोहम्मद फैज मियाँ, बड़ी ज़रा नवाजी आपकी कि आपने हमें इतना नवाजा। देखिए, जिंदगी में तो एक पुरानी कहावत है कि मत देख इस खिड़का पोशी में, मत देख इस खिड़का पोशी में, इरादत हो तो ढूंढ उनको, हिंदुस्तान का फन लिए बैठे हैं संभाल के आप लोग अपने हाथों में। तो ये तो आपकी बात है, हमारी बात तो नहीं है, ये तो आपकी बात है, ये तो आपकी ज़रा नवाजी है कि आपने हमें इतना नवाजा। तो to cut a long story short, yes, I did start off with ITC Hotels. It was my first job and frankly my last job. And but there's something that I must first of all I must congratulate you, and of course Principal Pant, and most significantly Kachru Saab, who is the president of your alumni, for having spoken with such passion. वो इतने प्यार से बोलते हैं, इतनी नेचुरली बोलते हैं, इतने दिल से बोलते हैं और इतना दिमागी चीज कहते हैं कि मैं काजू साहब, my congratulations to you, sir. You know, you are a man that I look forward to interacting with.
Thank you for coming and interacting with our future stars.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, Principal Pant, with your permission, and of course, Faiz Mia. So, there is something that I remember. I met with a very famous, very nice gentleman called Lord Colin Marshall. This was the year 2001 or 2002. I used to be at that time the general manager, vice president at ITC Moria. He was the chairman of British Airways. And I was quite overwhelmed because, you know, British Airways had honestly reinvented itself as an airline and was making great pathways. वो sluggish airline थी थोड़ी, उसकी reputation वगैरह जो थी वो थोड़ी mired थी in the socialist era. तो जब ये प्राइवेटाइज हुई एयरलाइन, लॉर्ड मार्शल ने उसको ट्रांसफॉर्म कर दिया. दे वेंट इनटू सच डिटेलिंग दैट द एवरेज पंटर न्यू व्हाट द कलर ऑफ द कार्पेट वाज. कैन यू इमेजिन सिटिंग हियर, नॉट फ्लाइंग, you knew the color of the carpet, and there was a reasoning to every single thing. That Indian customers were getting samosas. They become sensitive to ethnicity. So the Delhi-London route, you were getting Indian food. They were now conscious of the fact that, you know, one meal cannot serve the others. Anyway, my good luck that he came, and then, you know, as is ITC's tradition, we gave him a very warm welcome. He and I got chatting, and then he said, I want you to buy me dinner. So I said, sir, it'll be Lord Marshall, Lord Colin, it'll be an honor. So we sat at the Bukhara and we had a meal together and a glass of wine. And then he said, you know, he says, Gautam, remember one thing, anybody can fly an aircraft, but not everyone can provide service. He said the manifest transformation of British Airways, as is the transformation of the hotel business, as you've shown well, he gave me a compliment, but in India, is that you have reinvented service. So, young ladies and gentlemen, please remember that the most important manifestation of being a hotelier is to understand that the very cornerstone is the art of service. And very often in your country and in my country, service does not exist. You know, at least in the era that I grew up, you know, we got attitudes, we got pushed around, and here we were trying to give service in a nation which otherwise is taking a little while in understanding service. Things are much better now. Your generation will benefit from how technology has transformed service. Believe me, trying to get a passport when I was trying to get a passport, 35, 40 years ago was not an easy job. All right. One of the cornerstones of being a hotelier in India is that we must know our heritage. अपनी विरासत को आपको जानना चाहिए. भाई आपकी जो विरासत है, आपकी जो विरसा है, जो आपके traditions है, you must know your traditions. That is why I keep quoting from the Vedas or even from the various couplets that I keep talking about, because many of these will talk about your heritage. अगर हेरिटेज नहीं अगर आपको पसंद है तो एटलीस्ट यू शुड बी कमिटेड टू इंट्रिंसिक क्वालिटी. अब वो क्वालिटी सर्कल में एक टोयोटा का एग्जांपल है कि क्वालिटी क्या होती है. एंड दे से दैट व्हाट इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट कंपोनेंट इन मेकिंग ऑफ अ कप ऑफ टी. And the Toyota model says that the most important thing in making a cup of tea is the pot. If you don't have the pot, there is no question of making anything, right? Now there will be some reasoning कि भी पानी नहीं है तो कैसे बनेगी चाय नहीं होगा. But according to, so please believe that the core component of making a cup of tea for the Toyota people at least, and their benchmarks in quality, is the pot. अगर वो pot नहीं होगा तो वो चाय नहीं बनेगी. Atmospherics. Atmospherics play a very important role in your hotel business, right? And atmospherics includes both. Now, in atmospheric, there are tangibles. Now, the most obvious thing is tangibles का मतलब वो खूबसूरत जगह होगी, chandelier होंगे, furniture होगा, शख्सियतें होंगी, music होगा. लेकिन सबसे important होता है these are ambient conditions. Ambient conditions are which are silent conditions. What is the quality of indoor air? Is your indoor air better than what we are currently going through in Delhi? You know how unfortunately we've dropped the quality of air in Delhi. Hotels have the responsibility of providing the quality of indoor air far superior than what your city is providing. Similarly, your infrastructure, the quality of water, the quality of what we call as decibel levels, shanti honi chahiye, right? The quality of reflectance levels, safedgi honi chahiye. They say that the benchmark of whiteness is that if you're wearing white, and a lot of you will wear white, is that the quality of whiteness must be far superior than the captain of a ship. And all of this is tangible, right? All of this is tangible. There is something known as the reflector meter. So more when we speak about this later on. But yes, lux levels, decibel levels, indoor air quality are also ambient conditions apart from the interiors and of course the fragrances and the music, etc., etc., etc. Then we must deliver an experience. The manifest core value of service is to provide an experience. ये जो outcome होता है, मैंने इतना कुछ किया, आपने इतना कुछ लिया, लेकिन उसका outcome क्या हुआ? What is the outcome? The experience is the outcome. And the moment of truth is what has the customer's experience been. Okay. Now remember, it is the guest experience which will give you growth, which will give you profit. It is the profit that will give you growth and development. And I was talking to Nakul Anand, who's the executive director of ITC Hotels, and he's also my brother. And he says that in the post-COVID era, we have to start believing in contact light service. So what used to be contact full service, if you go to a hotel, there's to rush to receive you. There used to be this guest relations executive, there were aarti, there was garlanding, your name was announced, the driver would open the door, there'd be a litany of welcome drinks. All that is gone. So what will happen now is that you have to provide all of this in a much more protracted control environment, which does not give you the bells and whistles of of flowers and cakes and pastries. It has to be contact light. All right. Then the cast of characters. One of the most important elements of a hotel business are the cast of characters. And the cast of characters does not just include you, you as an individual. You know, the way you smell, the way you look, the way you groom yourself, the way you shave, the way your hair is styled, the way your nails are cut. You're all part of a theater. And remember that you're in the limelight, whether you're in the back of the house or you're in the front of the house, it doesn't really matter because back is as beautiful as the front. If you go to a great luxury hotel like Mr. KP Kachru has opened so many of them, you'll find that the back of the house, and as you go for your industrial training, you'll be surprised that some of the back of the houses are as good, if not better, than the front of the house. I personally believe that the back of the house needs to be as superior because that's an extension of your work ethic and culture. We no longer have cafeterias. We have associate dining rooms. Dining rooms have brand names. If I am supposed to be serving at, let's say, Ottimo, which is an Italian restaurant, and I'm eating in some dungeon in a very badly lit, badly run place, then how am I expected to perform at the Ottimo? So both employees and the customer, that is the internal customer and the external customer, provide what we call a cast of characters. You are known by the quality that you keep. So if your hotel has good customers, that means you are in good company. Then, of course, performance ethics. Kachru Saab mentioned to you a little earlier, and I was listening to him with riveted, and he said that the temptation, you know, when you work in a hotel, it is the land of abundance. It is the land of indulgence. You know, you will suddenly cite so many things that you and I are not experienced. You know, for instance, he mentioned that he didn't know what a luxury hotel was. Between you and me, when I joined ITC Hotels, and our training was at the ITC Mughal in Agra, and that was the first time I stayed in a hotel. I just couldn't stop eating all the desserts. वो जितने डेजर्ट होते थे उनके सबको मैं उसको चख लेता था, हमने इतने सारे डेजर्ट देखे नहीं थे. सो ये जो सेल्फ इंडल्जेंस होती है और टेम्पटेशन होती है, इसको आपको थोड़ा नजरअंदाज नहीं करना. रिमेंबर दैट it's very tempting. There will be beverages, there will be liquor, there will be cigars, there will be spas, there will be fantastic guest rooms, you know, there will be bath towels, bathrobes, all of this. But remember that it's not meant for you and me. It's meant for our customers, right? So please be very careful about performance. Overcome temptations. And that is what performance ethics is all about. Then technology. You know, one of the wonders that has happened over the last 15, 20 years in India, and I'm glad that it's reached a level of maturity where they're able to transform the post-COVID era, or what Nakul Anand calls as performance light service, is that technology has and there's a difference of what technology has taught us. So in the old days, we were like friendly zoos. So if one customer came, 20 of us went rushing in. And we had to correlate the name with the face. Now all we have to do is to apply technology. RFID can help you with that. Biometrics helps you with that. And you get teleprompts to tell you who's the customer, what is his background or her background. And so the difference is that we are no longer friendly zoos. We bring in warmth. Warmth is not friendliness. Warmth is personalization without getting into somebody's skin. There was a very irritating experience that somebody told me about. This gentleman would very often check into one of our ITC hotels, and he would go with a companion, right? He was a very famous man. Mr. Kachru may know him actually. I won't mention names. And he would go with a particular companion, and now everybody believed that the companion was his wife, except that in this particular time, he actually went with his wife, and the front office manager said, "Oh, sir, we are missing your wife. Where is she?" And the wife said, "But I am the wife." So what he was doing earlier was he was actually going with a girlfriend. Now, none of us have any business to be so obtrusive and get get under somebody's skin. It's like somebody being asked me, how was your flight? Well, it's really none of your business, you know. And you can't keep up calling up customers every minute and say, how's your stay? I hope. That's your job. That's your job to provide that. So remember one thing, that technology will help you overcome this friendly zoo and become a warm hotel. And it becomes more and more COVID relevant, as I just mentioned to you, contact light service. The other thing is, Mr. Kachru mentioned that it was, during the early 2000s, it was important to be very big in the mind. You had to work with your mind to be a great hotelier, right? But as Kachru Sahab has rightly said, you have to have a big heart. So good hoteliers of the future, of your generation, will have to be big on the heart and they have to be big on the mind, right? The manager or a management trainee or an executive chef or whatever professional job that you take, your mind and your heart, big in mind and big in heart. Eventually, it's all about customer experience. It's about customer experience, profit, growth, and development. Right? And the other thing that I very often like to talk about is this whole relevance of kindness. I judge hotels by the kindness. It's not about now. Kindness is a very abstract word, but I'll give you an example. I'm on the the Living Foods Epicurean Guild Award jury, and we have to do what they call as mystery dining. So one of the restaurants that I was doing mystery dining was in Bombay, and it's called O Pedro, right? And I had gone, and I'm not from Bombay. I am not known in Bombay, and we were booked under the radar. So this gentleman who was my host, he booked me and himself at O Pedro, which is a sort of a Goan Portuguese restaurant. We went there, we sat in one corner. The restaurant was absolutely packed, but I encountered such kindness from the young lady and the young gentleman who came to our service that I, at the end of the meal, asked the host, all right, I said, I asked them their name, they gave me their names, and then they asked me mine. I gave them my name, and they seemed to recognize me for some reason. I was overwhelmed. And then they were so nice that I said, and there was something known as the Portuguese custard tart, which they had given us. I went and bought a whole plate of Portuguese custard tart for that young gentleman and lady who was doing my service. Because we had encountered such, they didn't know who we were, but they were so kind. And the restaurant was absolutely packed, but they went out of their way. The service was unobtrusive. It was always there on time. They announced all the food. It was served brilliantly well. It was clean. The crockery was absolutely clean, and so was the table. And there was no fawning. They treated you like equals. So I think that, for me, is an element of kindness, that there's dignity in. So as you undertake your next big task, as you take on your big task, and you go through another 3 years. Am I right, Principal Saab? It's a 3-year program, or is it now a 4-year program?
It's a 3-year program, Mr. Anand. Yes.
And the last you have to go through industrial training. Yeah, I have lots of friends from PUSA. In fact, some of my closest friends, and Pan Saab is aware that I'm very friendly with. Of course, I'm a great fan of Kachru Saab, also Manjeet Gill and Chef Manisha, and so many of my dear friends, and I've learned so much from them, and I keep learning from them. I now write for Upper Crust magazine on heirloom cuisine, and I have to lean on both Manjeet and and Manisha to help me with the recipes and all that. I'm not a chef. I'm a foodie. I like food. I appreciate food. So yes, I've spent a lifetime doing food, and now with the Cuisine India Foundation, I hope that Pansab will help us, because our very basic. I don't know, Mr. Bhui was one of our founding members, and he put a lot of your students at the grassroots level to do our basic research on the grains of India as well as the Pulses of India and so on and so forth. And Dilip Podgaonkar, who was our founding president, we now have an award instituted in his name, which we give out annually at an award ceremony. Unfortunately, last 1 year, and I think this year may not be possible, but it was given to people who understand Indian cuisine culturally. For me, food is not about eating. It is intrinsically linked with civilization. You know, so the story of civilization is also the story of cuisine and culture. And if that be so, that remember that in ancient Rome, and I'm deviating, and I'm not talking about my passion of food for you, but in ancient Rome, there was a chef called Apicius. वो एंशंट रोम जो होली रोमन एम्पायर थी उनके बहुत एक मेज़बान और बहुत मशहूर शेफ थे, उनका नाम था एपिशस, और उन्होंने किताब लिखी थी बाय हिज ओन नेम, एपिशस बाय एपिशस. He was like Sanjeev Kapoor of the Roman era. In the 500 recipes that Apicius wrote about, 350 में इंडियन स्पाइसेस थे. Can you imagine? 350 रेसिपीज में 500 रेसिपी लिखी उन्होंने अपनी किताब होली रोमन एम्पायर. अपिशस, आप गूगल कीजिए एंशिएंट इंसाइक्लोपीडिया में, आपको मिल जाएगा ये अपिशस. और उसमें क्या लिखा हुआ है कि 350 रेसिपीज में इंडियन स्पाइसेस है, पेपर है, सिनेमन है, नटमेग है, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा, क्योंकि वो कहते थे कि हिंदुस्तान को रोम 1 टन पेपर इंपोर्ट करता है एनुअली और 1 टन गोल्ड वापस भेजता है. The price of pepper was equal to the price of gold. So the black gold of India was actually pepper. So your cuisine, right, is as ancient as the story of pepper. And that is where I take great pride in and joy in promoting Indian cuisine, right? And I hope that I can recourse to the help of young people like you, right? You're at a very exciting threshold of your life. You will enter hopefully by the time you guys, and it's very brave of the catering colleges to have, especially the PUSA Catering College, to have started its program. Very brave, and congratulations once again to the president of the alumni and to Principal Pant. And you will graduate and you will encounter many new challenges, but hopefully there'll be a cure, and you will be blemishless at that point of time, right? So with that, I have nothing else to say. If there are any questions that you'd like to ask me, or if there's something that Professor Pant would like to add, otherwise, we can keep going on. But I think there is a little bit of what I have learned from my many years in the hotel business, right? But remember that the story that I like the most is the story of civilization and Indian cuisine. And remember, 1 ton of gold in exchange of 1 ton of pepper. And I find it very surprising that very often when I'm in a forum like yours and I ask young people, भाई ये पेपर कहाँ से आया, तो सब कहते हैं कि सर ये तो इटली से हम इंपोर्ट करते हैं, ये पास्ता है, पिज्जा पे खिला दिया जाता है. और आप लोगों का पंजेंसी क्या होती है, वो कहती मिर्ची 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 हमारी देन नहीं है भाई, ये तो पोर्चुगीज की मुसीबत है. The Portuguese tried, the natural allies of the kings of the southern peninsula, of the west coast, were the Yemenis. That is why you find a lot of Arab influence in Kerala. The cargo was controlled by the Yemenis. The Portuguese were very jealous. Portuguese का काम क्या था? Portuguese का काम ये था, they used to follow the gold. फिर जहाँ gold है, Portuguese निकल पड़ते थे. तभी आपने सुना होगा वो वास्को ड गामा भी आया, क्रिस्टोफर कोलंबस भी आया. वो कोई रिफॉर्म करने नहीं आ रहे थे, they were just following the gold. Anyway, वास्को ड गामा को जब ये नमूद्री, जो किंग नमूद्री, नायर्स किंग थे केरला के, उन्होंने कहा भी ये जो कार्गो है ये हमको दे दीजिए. तो नमूद्री ने कहा नहीं भाई, आपको कार्गो नहीं दे सकते, हमारा बहुत पुराना रिश्ता है, बहुत पुरानी. अब रिलेशनशिप की बात है. देखिए रिलेशनशिप, ये ट्रांजैक्शनल नेचर ऑफ आवर जॉब इज ओवर. होटेलियर बनना चाहते हैं तो ये ट्रांजैक्शन नहीं हो सकता. जैसे आपको सुबह फोन आती है, भाई हमारे से बीमा ले लो, हम SBI लोन ले लो, हम तो तंग आ गए सुन सुन के, मैं कहा नहीं चाहिए भाई लोन आपके। ये एक एक रिलेशनशिप की बात है। उन्होंने कहा नहीं, हमारी रिलेशनशिप कायम है, हमारी रिलेशनशिप बरकरार है ये यमनीज के साथ। तो वही हमारे ट्रेडर्स हैं, वही हमारे मर्चेंट नेवी हैं। सो द एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ पेपर विल रिमेन विद द यमनीज। Vasco da Gama got so incensed and he got so angry, went and went and did a treaty with the Nawab of Gujarat and landed in Goa. And he imported copious amounts of chili from South America. Yeah, okay. He imported copious amounts of red chili plants. He planted red chili. And he made sure that अगर पेपर का भाव, आपने सुना ही है कितना महंगा है, पेपर is sold by the grams. Even today when you go and buy pepper, you can't buy kilos of pepper, you buy grams of pepper. He started selling red chili by the kilo. अब जब चीज इतनी आवाम को मिली और उसमें पंजेंसी थी और वो लाल रंग भी उसका खूबसूरत था, पेपर का रंग तो काला है, राइट, ये मिर्ची लाल थी, वो चल पड़ी, दौड़ पड़ी। हिंदुस्तान ने इतना चिली खाना शुरू कर दिया कि वो पेपर की बात ही भूल गए। अब देखिए हमारे जैसे लोग जो हैं, जो जानकार हैं और इन चीज़ों में थोड़ा इंटरेस्ट रखते हैं, अगर आप पुरानी रेसिपीज में जाएंगे तो आप देखेंगे कि लाल मिर्च होती नहीं, पेपर ही होता था, या पीपली होती थी, लंबी काली मिर्च कहते हैं। तो ये पोर्चुगीज का है। जैसे कि यूरोपियन नेशंस ने आपको एस्ट्रो टर्फ दिया, आप हॉकी में जीतते थे ना ग्रास कोर्ट पे, लेकिन वो जब से एस्ट्रो टर्फ लगा, यूरोपियन नेशन ने अब हॉकी में नहीं जीत सके। सो व्हाट दे डिड, वेरी ऑफन यू विल फाइंड दैट इन योर बिजनेस somebody will come and change the turf, so be very careful and watchful. All right, thank you. प्रिंसिपल पंत
सर,
बहुत
जी
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सर। और सर
हेलो,
आप,
हाँ फैज प्लीज आप बढ़ें आगे।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सर, आपने हमारे मार्गदर्शन किया और हमें इतनी अच्छी अच्छी बातें बताई। और अब अंत में मैं अपने प्रिंसिपल सर को वोट फॉर थैंक्स के लिए, धन्यवाद ज्ञापन के लिए निवेदन करता हूं कि वो आए।
मैं खाली एक फैज साहब एक कपलेट कहूंगा हिंदुस्तानी खाने के ऊपर, बिकॉज हमारा प्यार, हमारी मोहब्बत है, हमारी शख्सियत है। तो हमारा एक बहुत पुराना एक कपलेट है हिंदुस्तानी पकवान पे, और हम वो कहेंगे पंत साहब विद योर परमिशन के, जिसकी खुशबू से भी उठ जाए फिजा, जिसकी खुशबू से भी उठ जाए फिजा, जिसकी रंगत से भी आ जाए मजा, जिसकी खुशबू से भी उठ जाए, जिसकी रंगत से भी आ जाए मजा, हो लजीज और नफीस हर लुकमा, हो लजीज और नफीस हर लुकमा, जिसका जायका हो एक दूजे से जुदा। अब ये नहीं हो हर खाने में गरम मसाला डाल दिया जाए, जिसका जायका हो हर एक दूसरे से जुदा, जिसे खा खुश हो जाए मेहमान, जिसे खुश हो जाए मेहमान, बिछाते हैं हम और आप वही हिंदुस्तान का दस्तरखान।
वाह 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 सर, वाह वाह। मेरे ख्याल से ये हॉस्पिटैलिटी पढ़ने वाले सभी स्टूडेंट्स के लिए ये आइडियल वो होना चाहिए। और मैं एक आपने एक शेर पढ़ा है तो उसके जवाब में एक जो मुझे याद आ रहा है तो दुनिया में सुख नवर बहुत अच्छे, पर कहते हैं गालिब का है अंदाज़े बयान। और
क्या
हम गालिब के ज़माने में तो हमें वो खुश नसीबी नहीं नवाजी गई, लेकिन गौतम आनंद साहब आपका जो अंदाज़े बयां है, मैं यहाँ पे चैट बॉक्स पढ़ रहा था और जिस तरह से लोगों ने अपनी प्रतिक्रिया दी है, मेरे ख्याल से ऐसा लगता है आपकी बातें सुन के कि भगवान ने हमें 2 कानों से क्यों नवाजा। जिस तरह से मिश्री खोल के आप कानों में डालते हैं तो 2 कान कम पड़ जाते हैं, लेकिन सिर्फ आपके अंदाज की ही बात नहीं, द काइंड ऑफ elements that you have touched today, they are wonderful. The kind of the pride in our own culture, in our own history that you instill in the people, I think that is what we need the most in our country. And I couldn't agree more with Anand Sahab that our country had much richer tradition. I will like to take upon the opportunity that Mr. Anand is throwing at us. There is a lot of manpower which is available. The young people, they are full of energy. And if anything needs to be researched in our culture, in our cuisine, I think this is the opportunity we must grab with a lot of pleasure and enthusiasm. So we would like to do that. And I would like to add to what Ms. Anand said, that chilies and potatoes and tomatoes, our traditional food does not have it. And a little glimpse of our traditional food, if one wishes to look at, one must go to the temples, the famous temples which are there in our country. We can go down south, we can go to the east. I had the pleasure of eating this prasad at Lord Jagannath temple in Jagannath Puri. And the kind of food, the many vegetables that our people are conversant with now are not used at all there. And the kind of vegetable and the spices that you see there, we are not, they are not common day occurrences now. So this is a very unfortunate kind of a thing. And I think there is a lot which needs to be done. A lot has been done by many groups under the leadership of Mr. Kachru, Mr. Gautam Anand, and many more seniors that we have in the industry. And there is a lot which needs to be done. I feel on the first day I'm sharing it with the new students of IHM PUSA, like the kind of force India has become in the area of IT and IT-enabled services. I think in the area of hospitality, in the area of food, in the area of cuisine also, we must emerge as that kind of a force to reckon with. And I'm sure with the guidance of stalwarts like Mr. Anand and more people, we will be in a position to achieve that. A lot of things he has shared with us. It was wisdom, which was flowing this afternoon. And the kind, I think in the recent past, COVID has been the biggest teacher that we got. We liked the teacher, we did not like the teacher, but we had to learn a few lessons from them. And the kind of contact light, people are talking about contactless service. I don't think, you can be hospitable by making it contactless, but contact light service, I think that is the way forward. And it is my pleasure to express my gratitude to you, Sir Anand Sahab. And I look forward to the day when things are back to normal and we have the opportunity to welcome you at IHM PUSA. You are one of the best friends that we have got, the kind of value you have added in the recent seminar that we had on the cuisine of Delhi. We have received a number of feedbacks about it, and particularly the kind of valuable contribution that you do it. And I look forward to your guidance and your support in the days to come too. So dear students, I think we are coming close to the business on day one of your orientation program. I'm positive that you have got similar things to look forward to tomorrow and the day after. And hopefully, in the near future, we are able to meet face to face and go to our different labs and carry the business forward. Thank you very much. And I'm ever so grateful to Mr. Kachru and Mr. Gautam Anand for finding the time and gracing this ceremony, please.
Thank